Selamat datang. Welcome to Jakarta, the exotic and mysterious capital of Indonesia. A small harbour settlement developed into a modern metropolis that has remained a charming city despite overpopulation. Merdeka Square, which is considered to be the centre of the modern city, is adorned by the equestrian monument of the prince and freedom fighter Diponegoro. Monas, a 137-metre-high marble obelisk, dominates the huge square. An elevator takes visitors to a viewing platform. From the top, there are several administrative buildings. And on a pedestal, the walls are adorned by military memories. In the basement, several showcases depict three-dimensional scenes of Indonesian development. Independence Hall is supposed to bring history closer to the nation. The Istana Merdeka Presidential Palace was created from the country house of a rich Dutchman. Also, the National Museum is one of the magnificent buildings in the vicinity of Merdeka Square. The oldest scientific institution opened these collections in 1868. Which now comprise more than 140,000 exhibits. The museum provides an impressive overview of Indonesian culture, from its earliest beginnings to the present day. In the prehistoric section are cultural objects, old pottery, Hindu art and architecture. Young visitors are shown religious dance and visibly enjoy it. Their own culture is promoted and lovingly cultivated here. In Gedang, Pancasila Soekarno explained for the first time the Constitution. And the Willemskerk stands out due to its magnificent construction. This round sacred building, crowned by a mighty dome, was named after King Willem in 1839. It was the first Lutheran and Reformed church. Today, this Protestant church is called Emmanuel Church. The traffic flashes by everywhere in the city, but sometimes rest can be stimulating. The Stasiun Gambir, a two-story railway station, is always extremely popular. And opposite, the National Gallery, not really of any note. The tuk-tuk motorbike is ideal, especially in the city. So we quickly reach the largest mosque in Southeast Asia, the modern Masjid Istiqlal. The interior of the monumental building offers space for 20,000 believers. A Christian architect from Sumatra designed it. took 17 years to complete, until it was officially opened in 1978. The Catholic Gerasia Cathedral is also on the square and directly opposite. A neo-Gothic building of the turn of the century with cast-iron towers, high nave and some Indonesian influences. And inside, various surprising contemporary cloister paintings. In the south of the city is the lively old Chinese quarter of Glodok, with a typical Chinese atmosphere, and shops open to the street where freshly caught fish, seafood and spices are offered appetizing. In 1740, this part of the city outside the walls of Old Batavia was assigned to the Chinese population. The oldest and most important Chinese temple was built as early as 1650 by Buddhists in honor of the goddess of mercy. Inside are Buddhist and Taoist figures and sacred antiques. The temple was founded by immigrants from the Middle Kingdom as a place of worship. After Hinduism, Buddhism also reached the island in the 6th century AD. Today, most Buddhists live in Jakarta. And childless women offer their sacrifices here and ask the gods to fulfill their wish to have children. The red brick house of Toko Merah once belonged to the Governor General. Today, still an unbelievable splendor, neglected, but very modern for that time. The Great Canal, Kali Besar, with the so-called Chicken Market Bridge and Dutch trading houses, represents the demarcation of the district. Kota is the historical center of Jakarta and is regarded as a tourist highlight. The colonial atmosphere around the central marketplace of Taman Fathahillah fascinates all visitors. Life pulsates here, and people show their joie de vivre. In former times, only Dutchmen and the privileged local elite were allowed to live here. The Ceramics Museum, housed in the former Court of Justice, forms the east side of the square. Here you can see richly stocked collections of valuable ceramics and porcelain artworks from all over Asia. The representative Stadhuis was built in 1710 and served as a town hall for the administration and as a prison. From here, the Dutch East India Company ruled its colonial empire. Only later did the oldest and best preserved building become the military headquarters. And the historical museum has been housed here since 1974. There's the development of the city, as well as furniture, paintings, old maps, and other relics from the colonial period. The prison rooms are accessible from the rear of the building. Today, the inner courtyard is often visited, as it was previously not open to the public. And from the Stadhuis, the officials had a perfect view of the square. On the west side, there is the extraordinary Museum Wayang, the Shadow Play Museum. The small courtyard between the buildings also shows tombstones from the old Dutch period. But it is the masterfully decorated game figures from the different regions of Java and Sumatra that are the focus of the exhibition rooms. Also a doll collection and topang masks from India, China, Thailand and Malaysia are exhibited. The alleys around the large square are always lively and many cabaret performers entertain here. And colourful horse-drawn carriages wait for the next ride. Gerasia Sion is reminiscent of the lesser-known minority of the Black Portuguese. The Baroque pulpit and other infantry is still original. The church is a relic of the Portuguese Empire's demise. The Dutch brought the Indian slaves of the Portuguese from Malacca over here, released them and built them this Catholic church at the old city wall in around 1683. To the north lies Sunda Kelapa, the oldest port in Jakarta. The fishing port of Pasar Ikan is one of the biggest and liveliest in the city. Especially in the morning hours, the many fishermen deliver their fish here, and enterprising helpers and traders handle their distribution and sale. Business is going well, and after the work is done, a little rest is allowed. Here is a microcosm for animals and humans, and remains an odour-intensive experience. Small and bigger fishing boats are already moored in lines at the pier in the late morning. They're waiting again for the next night trip into the rich fishing grounds. At another part of the port, the world's largest fleet of ocean-going cargo sailing ships is anchored. Today, however, precious spices are no longer unloaded, but goods of all kinds. With a small fishing boat, the sampan, it's possible to sail through the harbour. Even today, it is still full of activity, even if the marine traffic is aging day by day. Jakarta is a city by the sea, and maritime trade has always been part of it. The Bahari Museum, dedicated to navigation, is also located in the harbour area. It is housed in the former warehouses of the East Indian Trade Company, which were built in 1652. Today, boats from the archipelago, historical ship models, old sea charts and tools are exhibited in the halls. And important stations in maritime history are shown in game scenes. The old lighthouse and watchtower from 1839 was built over the bastion at that time. The view from above the old harbour displays their dimensions. Quite close is the leisure park. Here you will find special attractions such as Ocean Dream Samudra, an installation with various show theatres. Trained sea lions perform great tricks and can be photographed with visitors. And also dolphins show what they can do. And their kindness knows no bounds. Even kissing is allowed. Pure action is what the Scorpion Pirates are all about. Here they're fighting all the time. And race through fire aboard fast motorboats. And finally, a visit to the underwater theatre, which will surely remain unforgotten. Human mermaids swim synchronously between swarms of fish that form amazing formations. Atlantis is the name given to a water park which houses various worlds of the legendary empire in a spacious area. And various water channels lead past the attractions, turning the pleasure into an adventure. On the Pesar Senaye, you can also admire handicrafts from all over the country. And perhaps one or the other favourite items can be purchased. Artists themselves are also active here and show how a painting or other work of art is created. And in art galleries, all the different art styles are exhibited. Woodcarvers create imaginative works of art. Potters form the most incredible models. Stonemasons work on their material. And others transform natural wood into objects. On weekdays, the beach promenade is quiet, and the small excursion boats are moored on the shore and wait in vain for passengers. Even bathers are not to be seen, and the lifesavers can calmly leave their watchtower unoccupied. Only waterbirds and sea waves appreciate this tranquility. This is also the time for a quiet ride with a gondola over the Taman Impian Jaya Ancol area. In the corner of the track, there is a fantasy world with moving figures and planets. The gondolas glide silently along and reveal the size of the terrain. Often huge hotels lie well camouflaged between the palm trees. An artificially created world of entertainment. Ragunan Zoo was built in a tropical park on the southern outskirts of the city. The Zoological Garden is home to about 4,000 animals, mainly from Indonesia, and is located in open-air enclosures. And it's only during the round tour that the variety of the animal species of this subtropical island state surprises. A nature paradise worth preserving. But also non-native animals from other continents have found a home here, except for those from the colder regions. The beautiful Indonesia in Miniature Park is located on the southern edge of the capital, Jakarta. In this theme park, reconstructed traditional houses from the Indonesian provinces are lined up around an artificial lake. With art, culture, and numerous customs. It's a journey through the island archipelago, to places that often cannot be easily visited, but are still part of the country. Here, visitors can see buildings they have never seen before. They can also get to know cultures of which they've never heard, which even for the city dwellers seem very exotic. However, this is how ethnic groups still live and exist today in distant provinces that belong to Indonesia only through high world politics. It's only a question of time when these people will also have to give up their traditions and accept our world culture. Now all this is admired, almost like in a theme park, but will soon be forgotten again. However, this city of extreme contrasts knows how to deal with it. Alternating occupying forces contributed their part to the mixing of cultures. Jakarta is a melting pot between poverty and wealth, a vibrant metropolis that optimistically represents Asia.